Welcome to Money Matters. I am Emily Johnson, Certified Financial Planner and Managing Director of Polaris Capital Advisors, and I am joined, as always, by David Crowell of Mortgage Network, and we are here to discuss all things where your money matters. And we thought that this week, instead of digging directly into economic news that you can catch on CNBC, CNN, Fox News, choose your poison, we thought that we would talk a little bit more about specifically how some of these undulations in the market might actually be impacting your 401k and perhaps how you can get your arms around it, your 401k, your IRA, your bank account, whatever it is that you're looking at, just your day-to-day, and how you can get your arms around it in a way that relieves some of your mental stress where this is concerned.
So the big, always if you feel stressed, go to the next level. And if you still feel stressed, go to the next level. In other words, to the next meta level, to the next...
So we're meditating now.
To the next level of generality. And that's absolutely right. So the ultimate level would be some form of meditation. Mm-hmm. If all else...
This is going to be a quiet show today.
No, it is not. No, it is not. This is a big deal. Emily's point about the concept for grabbing hold of where you are and not being buffeted back and forth by fears in the markets and so forth. Go to the next level. Who are you? Are you 65 years old and looking at managing your retirement, or are you 28 years old and trying to save your first $10,000? I mean, there's a big difference. Might as well be on different planets. The question of how to manage in the face of the buffeting of the markets is a totally different question and a totally different answer depending on which bucket of individuals you're in.
Well, and it is a different answer, and it's also not at the same time, because what should be the case in a perfect world, and of course everybody's life is constantly changing, it's all very dynamic, but in a perfect world, whether you are just starting out and investing your first $300 in your first job 401k, or whether you're looking at retiring, have already retired, and are looking at managing ongoing income, regardless, there needs to be an objective that you're managing towards. So if it's investing that first $300 and you invest it and you suddenly see the market go down, I don't want to say you shouldn't care, because you should care, at least there should be some observance, but the point is the way that the funds were invested should have been according to a certain degree of risk that you're comfortable with. That's the whole thing about having a plan, is one, having an objective, and two, managing towards that objective with some idea of risk in mind. That's just the way that the markets work and that investment works, because you have a risk-return trade-off. And if you have an objective that you're saving for, presumably there is a certain rate of return that you need to achieve that. It might be 2%, it might be flat, it might be 8%. But whatever that is, you need to have a portfolio of investments that are managed towards that objective. So whether you're 22 and investing your first $300, or 67 and investing for income, those rates of return are what you need to think about, and that risk is what you need to think about. So why is this relevant? It's relevant because if you're seeing headlines right now that are saying the Dow is down more than it's been down in 15 years, or even better, since August of 2013, like great statistics that are really helpful like that, and it's breaking news, and you immediately go to your computer and look up your online account that you lost the password for, and you get frustrated because of that. When you finally look at it, you see that your account has parentheses around it, and it's in the red. You shouldn't panic unless you actually have no plan. And that's really the message, is as you're looking at any undulations in the market, whether it's on the overall positive side or whether it's trending down like it has in the last 2 weeks, it is relevant, it's important, and being aware is important. But what's most important is knowing that you have adequately addressed what your objectives are and what the risk is that's attached to those things. And it's not complicated, it's not rocket science. It truly is it's like any other practice. It requires discipline, it requires attention, it requires not responding to fear and greed, but staying the course, whether we're talking about your golf game or your tennis game or eating right. I mean, you pick it. There's no difference between those types of daily activities that are more enjoyable, maybe, or maybe it's not. Some people really enjoy looking at their finances, like dorks like me, I guess. But either way, basic paradigms are the same. Assessing risk, assessing objectives, determining what your personal required rate of return is, investing towards that, and staying the course. That's it. I mean, you'd think that I'd be out of a job with that, but unfortunately, with the headlines becoming louder and louder, and all the white noise becoming louder and louder, and fewer people meditating, it becomes harder and harder to stay the course.
The reason that Emily is firmly planted in the dork category is that no one that I know walks around thinking, what do I need my rate of return to be?
What's my number?
Absolutely not a single person that I know, whether they are financially sophisticated or not financially, nobody walks around with that number. That's a central number of what Emily calls a plan. So clearly, each and every one of us need a financial advisor of some sort.
This is actually not a shameless plug.
This is not a shameless plug. Need a financial advisor of some sort, some ilk, to help us to articulate that. It's what Emily calls a simple proposition. It's not simple. It's an extended hypothetical. If you want to do this, and if you want to accomplish that, and if your base assumptions, the starting position is thus and so, then you need a certain rate of return in order to get to the objective.
Let's simplify this for a second. We'll get back on David's turf here for a second. Let's say you lock in a 30-year mortgage at 4%. So what is the rate of return that I would need to pay back that mortgage over the next 30 years? It's 4%. My number is 4%. If I want to pay it back sooner, then I'm going to increase by payments, but it's going to decrease whatever that rate of return is. So that's what we're looking at, is that number. It's no different if you're looking at retiring and trying to accumulate everybody still says $1 million, and that's sort of irrelevant, but it's still the number that you hear. Trying to accumulate $1 million. You have 20 years in which to do that, and you're going to save $40,000 a year. What is the rate of return that you're going to need? You can back into that. So
however, it is super hard, just to acknowledge what you're all thinking as you hear Emily say this. It's super hard for somebody who's not in the financial markets every day to accept the advice that a 1,000-point drop in the Dow does not affect them, given the long-term look at the market.
Right. I mean,
it's very hard.
I call myself the designated worrier, because that's my job, is to worry for people. And yes, there are still plenty of clients that still worry, and I'm never going to be able to stop that. And when the market shifts 1,000 points, I worry. It does. It does cause my blood pressure to go up and my heartbeat to quicken and all of that. But at the same time, I also, because this is, I'm looking after the financial wherewithal of many people. That's frightening. However, knowing that the funds are invested in a way that is appropriate to their risk is what's most important. If I have a client that has come to me and said, you know what, risk be damned, I'm going to go ahead and invest these funds 100% in Starbucks, and despite my best efforts, I'm unable to sway them from that, they're taking a substantial amount of risk. When I see the market shift 1,000 points, my first fear is for them, because that's not an adequate amount of risk. It's excessive. So if funds are invested specific for objectives and according to a certain amount of risk, when the market shifts, whether it's for 1 month or 2 years, the plans still should stay the same. It might be time to reallocate. It doesn't mean make a wholesale change, go to cash and put it in your mattress, and it also doesn't mean put it all on red and run to Vegas. But
it's the glories and benefits and the need for somebody in your life, a financial advisor in your life, who is the designated warrior, who's actually constantly calibrating your plan. That's the only way that you can react to a market as volatile as the one that we have without panicking. You say, well, I guess Emily knows what she's doing.
Here's hoping.
And then if it goes, what?
I said, here's hoping.
And then if it goes on for another couple of days and it's still just as volatile, I think we'll call Emily and find out what's going on. In other words, the response is not, I'm going to do this or that about the market. The response is, I'm going to ask my financial advisor.
And more important is actually, it's not just the fear and greed, it's what's actually going on in your life. More important would be,
Which
you
is
just
part
found out
two,
about
which is the second half of the...
Yes, okay, so we'll be right back with more Money Matters. Please stick with us.